guys, Cleo here. So I'm just going to dive into this. Thank you everyone for joining and registering for our first style webinar. I'm Cleo Markopoulos. I'm COSMO's Fashion Director, and for those who don't know me, I'm obviously extremely passionate about fashion, as well as the very multifaceted world of sustainable fashion and, a movement towards a more conscious mindset, conscious consumption, really. So I think, how do those two things merge together, fashion and then, the consumption of clothing, because they are very usually put together. So we are going to touch on this today, and also demonstrate on how we can actually detox our wardrobes, as well as rediscovering the pieces that you already own, and essentially after this webinar, hopefully you can become a more stylish and sustainable you. So I'm very excited to have two amazing panelists today. First up, we'll have sustainable advocate Jackie May, she's the former editor of Marie Claire and founder of Twig magazine. Jackie's also on the board of Fashion Revolution South Africa. And for those of you who don't know, it's actually Fashion Revolution Week globally this week. Fashion Revolution are basically a movement who really want to provide more transparency, or who aim to call on a more transparent world when it comes to the fashion supply chain. So they are really the body of advocates for sustainable fashion, and Jackie's on the board in South Africa. We'll then go on to welcome wardrobe guru or expert, as well as style consultant, Roxanne Erdis. Hey, Jackie.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, and you?
Good.
So I'm just introducing what we'll be speaking about today. And then, so Roxanne Erdis, who's a style consultant and wardrobe expert. She's also the founder of the Curated Fox, will be speaking. She's got nearly 10 years of experience in the fashion industry as both a buyer and a stylist. And she'll be taking us through, the steps we need in order to detox our wardrobes. So have a notepad ready and, take notes. We'll all need them. So firstly, happy Fashion Revolution Week, Jackie, and welcome to our webinar. Thanks so much for being a part of this.
Thanks, Cleo, and welcome to everybody who's listening in. Nice to be part of your Cosmo Fashion Revolution Week. It's great that we've got lots of people interested and following us, and it's very good.
Hey. I'm seeing the participants are going up. Yay, guys. Hi, everyone. So, Jackie, I just want to say, we're having this webinar at a time that I really think is quite a pivotal time in the fashion industry. Because of, the COVID-19 pandemic, I feel like people are the fashion industry especially is having to reassess kind of their processes, and, processes and practices. And a lot of people are talking about how this is going to be the change that needed to come for a long time, towards a more sustainable future, but also towards, I think the main thing is, I think the fashion landscape is going to become more conscious. It's going to become a more conscious fashion landscape. So I guess the first question that I'd like to ask you today is, how do you think COVID-19 is going to affect the fashion industry, in South Africa, in the world? What are your opinions on it?
I think it's a very good question, because, we have been seeing people become more aware and more conscious of fashion. And when I say that, it means two things. It really means understanding who's making our clothes and understanding the complexity of the supply chains, which removes the buyer from the person who's making it, which means we have no idea how that person's being treated because of the globalization of the supply chain. So that's the one thing which we've seen a radical change right now with COVID-19. because globalization has just had to stop in a way, because all the borders are being closed, nobody's traveling, which means clothes that are being made in Asia can't get to customers or consumers in the developed world. But what the bad side of that is, because of the kind of relationships with the labor, these people aren't being paid for the work that's been done. So understanding, this understanding of labor and people who make your clothes is a big part of what Fashion Revolution is about. And COVID-19 has just put that into a really sharp focus. And I think understanding all of that makes all of us really aware that behind every stitch of your clothing is a person, behind every person is a family. And I think drawing attention to the ethics around that is really key to understanding and improving the fashion industry. So that's the one thing that is very, very in focus. And the other thing is understanding what's in your clothes, because so much of what's in our clothes is toxic, is plastic. I think the main ingredient and part of our clothing is plastic, which is so bad for the earth. And today being Earth Day, all these elements that come together, it's COVID-19, it's Earth Day, it's Fashion Revolution Week, and all those kind of major kind of awareness raising moments. And COVID-19 is more than a moment. It's a crisis. It's a humanitarian crisis as well as a health crisis. Are making us really think very, very deeply about how we live our lives, and also how we run economies and how we want to structure the world. So COVID-19 is a major, major issue. Yeah, a major moment.
Do you think that any, good is going to come from it? Because, we are having to, consume less and kind of assess what we own. And a lot of people are saying it's going to cause positive change, hopefully.
We have to hope so. Otherwise, going through this dreadful lockdown is going to be worth, for nothing. I think, yes. I mean, I think the slowing down of our lives and, we're all spending time looking at what's in our wardrobe, understanding what we have already will mean that you will value what you've got more. And also you'll spend less on the fast fashion that we've really seen has taken over what fashion really is. Fast fashion, means that we're not valuing our clothes. We're just buying to wear once and throw it away. And what does that throwing away mean? Where's that going? There's so many questions to ask and so many ways to think about our clothes. And I mean, this. I mean, the first thing to look at is what's in your wardrobe. And repair what you want to wear that you haven't bothered repairing. Now is the best opportunity to do that.
Exactly. Because sometimes a button falls off, and you may not think to fix it and rather buy something new, which is, I think, part of the problem. Yeah. What is Fashion Revolution have a really nice kind of tagline, and is it love the clothes you own?
I'm not sure about that one. They've got quite a few. I mean, the one that I'm interested in today is what's in my clothes.
What's in my clothes again?
So the main question is who made your clothes? There are quite a few questions. Who made your clothes? Who made your bag? And then I made your clothes, I made your bag. Really kind of making you, and I mean, that's why I so love the industry in South Africa, because we so, especially people who work in the industry, we know our designers, and they're small designers, they work in studios with their workers. So there's a much closer relationship and an understanding who makes our clothes than if you buy something from, a big brand and you don't know who's made that clothes. You don't, and you have no idea how much they've been paid. On Friday, I'm going to be interviewing somebody from an Asian clothing and textile union to get an understanding of what's happening and what COVID-19 is doing to the workers in cases we have no idea who the workers are or how they're being treated. So, and I think trying to get to grips with that is difficult, but that's why I love supporting the local fashion designers in South Africa, because they have a closer relationship to the people who make their clothes.
I think it's that is for me a big part of conscious consuming and sustainability is really supporting our local brands and our local designers who work on a smaller scale, smaller teams, and who need the support, especially now.
Yeah, especially now. And I think once COVID-19 is over, I mean, if we're going to be spending money, we have to spend money on local brands and on our local businesses. I mean, it would be, I mean, I want to use that word, it would be unethical to spend your money on an international brand who is not supporting a family here. We have to support our families here. You know, you could be buying something that's, yeah.
Yeah, no, there's so many, yeah, it's such a multifaceted conversation. Jackie, what are, you know, why, give us 3 reasons why it's so important, you know, for us as consumers and fashion lovers, you know, to change, to shift our mindsets into becoming, you know, more conscious consumers.
3 reasons why
Yeah.
we should be. Okay, well, I think obviously we want to make sure that the people who make our clothes are being well treated and can earn a living wage and can feed their families. And secondly, we want to make sure that the clothes we buy are not harmful to the planet, which means a few things. I mean, I'm wearing a scarf that was printed using organic dye and it's on a natural fiber. So I would be very happy for this to be thrown into my garden and know that it wouldn't cause any harm to the planet and to the soil. So if you think about soil as being almost what keeps us all alive, you want to keep the soil healthy. So whatever we take out needs to go back in a healthy way. So that's 2 reasons. And then I think the third reason is we want to respect each other and respect our clothes and respect and have more respect basically for the complex system that we are part of.
For sure. Amazing. Thanks, Jackie. And then I think, like, what are 3, you know, practical tips for, you know, people that are watching today to become more sustainable, you know, fashion lovers?
Okay, so obviously the most important thing is to start off with the clothes that you own. So shopping in your wardrobe is the most sustainable thing you can do.
Brilliant, because that's what we're doing here.
Exactly. Your next guest is going to be responding to that directly. So understanding what you've got in your cupboard is number 1. And then secondly, obviously secondhand is great. I'm wearing a thrifted shirt that I bought on a holiday, and I went on a thrifting tour, and I love my thrifted clothes. Thrifting secondhand, renting, Cleo, is a very, very sustainable thing to do. And then, I mean, the third thing to do is to obviously swapping. So swapping, renting, vintage, secondhand is great. And then the third thing to do, as we discussed earlier, is local. Buy local. And understand who your local brands are. I mean, you must know that there are lots of fantastic, sustainable and ethical brands in South Africa.
100%.
Learn about them, find out who they are, and you'll start, you know, forming a relationship with them, and they can mend and adjust the clothes. It's so nice to have that relationship with people who make your clothes.
I think, you know, yeah, that personal human interaction and relationship, I think, is so important. Even in this kind of, you know, time, I'm learning myself that it's yeah, a lot more valuable than we give it credit for. But yeah, you know, talking about secondhand and rental and clothing swaps, those are all part of the circular economy, right? Or the sharing economy. That's a huge part of sustainable fashion. And I'm reading that, you know, after because of COVID-19, it's going to become a bigger industry, you know, it's secondhand. And it's sustainable in the way that, you know, it gives, just for everyone, that it gives a garment more lives. So essentially, instead of buying something new, you are cutting down consumption in the way that one garment's going, you know, in a circular kind of manner. Jackie, thank you so much. We're going to take a few questions. Guys, if you haven't popped a question in the Q&A box, do so now for Jackie. But I've got 2 questions here. So Karina Ribeiro has asked, will COVID-19 disrupt fashion's sustainability commitments?
Well, I think there are certain, I think that it'll make it hard because it's going to affect bottom line for most people, and producing sustainably is a slow, more expensive way of making clothes. So I suspect it's going to be hard for people to stick to their commitments. But I think that for a lot of people who are producing and manufacturing sustainably, they will be more committed to doing that because of this crisis, because this crisis is showing us lots of things showing how unsustainable our systems, economic systems are. So we have to find a way forward.
Making us reassess.
But the one thing that I am quite concerned about, I was waiting for it to happen, and it's starting to be reported on, is all the plastic PPE that's being manufactured for health workers is now landing up in the ocean. And, you know, plastic pollution in the ocean is a big issue. So we have to address that. So there are kind of fallouts and
ups and downs. Positives.
Exactly. But my overall answer to that would be, I think there would be a bigger commitment to sustainability now than ever before.
Yeah, I think, I personally also think from the research I've done is that I feel like people's mindsets will slowly shift, as you said, to more sustainable things. Okay, so an anonymous attendee says, can you touch on how to sort out makeup and jewelry? Okay, that's more of a question for Roxanne, so I'll save that one. Okay, so Janine Johnston says she understands that fast fashion is bad for the environment, but aren't many people going to lose their jobs if there isn't fast fashion?
That's a very, very good question. And that's part of, that's a part of a bigger question, is about how our economies work. And there is no real answer to it. I mean, I think that fashion needs to slow down. We need to produce better quality clothes, and people need to keep having their jobs. They must be paid more, but we need to produce better and pay better for the clothes. But, that's going to take a whole restructuring of the economic system, which has to happen, because otherwise we go, the planet's not going to survive, or we won't survive. The planet will survive, we won't survive. But it's a big question. And I'm studying sustainable development at Stellenbosch University, and we had a economics professor from France, and one of the modules I did was all about what are the answers to these big questions. And at the moment there are no answers, and they're looking at the small scale things that are happening in local communities for the answers, and looking at how people are looking after each other and becoming more resilient. So it's a very big question that have been discussed in many different ways.
Then Nklalala Glekane asks she says, a friend and I were going to start a brand, but obviously due to COVID, we can't go about it as we were going to. How can small businesses try plan around these changes to still be successful, i.e. manufacturing locally, transporting goods, etc.? That's also a really great question.
You mean during the lockdown itself? Sure, I think as what I've noticed with all the fashion designers that I'm in touch with is that every week they're kind of preparing themselves to manufacture essential goods like the masks and the protective gear. And I think for each one of them, like Crystal Birch now has just reopened her factory, and she's started making masks and head protective gears. And it's taken her a few weeks to set that up. And I've seen Clipper Denim in Joburg. He actually started doing it before the lockdown, to pivot his manufacturing around for masks. So I think there's not going to be any need for clothing now, unless you've got the time and the money to just put thought into designing your new collection or your launch collection. In this case, take the time that you have to just plan a really magnificent slow fashion collection. But if you are already in production, you've got to think about what is currently needed by citizens and health workers, and adapt your manufacturing to meet those needs. But everybody's doing it in a different way, and you've got to get your certificates. You've got to make sure that people are doing it in a healthy way and hygienic way. So it's
I would also like to add on that and just say, now's a great time to grow your, even just start a brand or grow a brand, and grow your following. You might not be able to, sell your product or get your product to the consumer, but, grow your brand, create a brand around, the values you want to, that you want to promote. So, that's just my opinion also. I think that's...
and write about your ideas. I mean, somebody we've actually got on Twig magazine, we've been collecting a whole lot of thoughts from fashion insiders, what they're doing during this time, how to be more resilient, how to use the time. And one of the comments was, write about this time, write about what your ideas around fashion are, put them down so that you've got kind of a reference to your thoughts and to your philosophy around fashion.
Great. I think that's the questions for now. Jackie, thank you so much for being a part of this today. I mean, we can talk about it for ages. I could talk about it for ages. But yeah, I think you gave some really amazing tips and info. And we are grateful to have you on our webinar. Thank you so much. Okay.
Pleasure.
So I would like to welcome Roxanne now from the Curated Fox, who I'm going to make a panelist. She'll be giving the lowdown on how to detox your wardrobe and, like why it's the perfect time to detox, a step-by-step guide on that. And we look forward to it. So Jackie, I'm going to take you off. There we go.
Hi, thanks for having
me. And then Roxanne, let me add you. Roxanne. Hello.
Hello.
There you are. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good, thanks. Thanks so much for being here today with us on our webinar, and yeah, looking forward to hear what your thoughts are on detoxing. So yeah, you can start by introducing yourself and then get into it.
Okay, great. So I'm just going to get right into it. So as Cleo introduced me, I am Roxanne Erdis. Hi to all our viewers. So my company is called The Curated Fox and basically comprises of 4 main areas of expertise. So that would first be wardrobe detoxing and organization. And then I have the personal editorial styling side, personal shopping, and then a big part of what I do is selling pre-loved and vintage merchandise. So essentially what edged me to starting this business is, as Cleo said, I had worked in fashion industry before as a buyer and stylist. And I always had a love, or actually obsession, for organization. I would always organize my friends and family's closets, pantries, linen cupboards, like you name it. And I was just obsessed with giving them style and shopping advice. And along with that, there's been this bigger and more impactful drive towards sustainability. And I thought, how can I merge my passion with a sustainable business model? And that's how I created the Curated Fox. So that launched last year and it's gaining momentum, which I'm really excited about. And with that being said, a big part of what I do is the wardrobe detoxing, and that's what I'm here to discuss today. So as we're all in lockdown, there's probably no better time to do your own wardrobe detox. And I'm going to go talk about how you can go about doing that. So before we get into the how, I want to discuss the why. Why should you do a wardrobe detox? I mean, a few reasons, a lot of reasons. Firstly, it saves you time. Now, I know right now, this is definitely not at the top of your priority list, but think about before your every day of getting dressed. Every morning you get up, you getting ready for work, you open your cupboard, and what is the most common thing a woman feels when they open their closets? I have nothing to wear. Then you spend, what, on average, 15, 20, 30 minutes, maybe more, trying on different outfits, staring blankly into your closet, hoping something will appear. And you just waste a lot of time because you can't actually see what is in there. So I feel that that's time we could be spending wiser elsewhere. An organized closet allows you to see everything, easily pair outfits, and make decisions quicker. So that's the first reason. The second reason would be that it saves you money when you actually wear what you have. So there was a study done a while ago where they concluded that 80% of the time, you only wear 20% of your wardrobe. And if you think about your everyday attire, I mean, it's definitely worse now because, we're living in in our sweats and PJs. But if you think about your go-to outfit, depending on what, you know, what career you're in, what lifestyle you live, that's probably true. You probably do default to that same pair of jeans, that same tee, because it's quick and easy and you just don't have time to look in your closet. So what's happening with those clothes that you don't wear? You know, what also might happen is that you end up buying, I don't know, 10 pairs of black jeans because you haven't realized that you actually have black jeans because they're scrunched at the back of your cupboard. You forgot you had them, haven't tried them on. Oh, I need a pair of black jeans. And then you're just buying more instead of using what you actually have. And we definitely don't want that. Another reason would be is that it's very cleansing. So most, if not all people, will go through a lot of change in their lives. As a wardrobe detox expert, I've seen with my clients when I go through their closets, a progression of their lives in their wardrobes. So you'll see if, you know, she's had career changes or maybe gained weight, lost weight, had a baby, got married, whatever they've gone through, often you can see this in their closet. And you need to cleanse your closet to be able to cleanse your past. So it'll help you focus on who you are now and who you want to be in the future, instead of holding on to things that aren't a part of your lifestyle now. The next reason, which is really important for today as well, is that it reduces your impact on the environment. So because you're wearing more of your own clothing, you'll be buying less. So you'll be reducing the negative impact that you have on the fashion, that fashion has on the environment. Basically, more wear will be less clothing ending up in landfills, which Jackie has touched on already. So in essence, you're helping with the assistance of growth of circular fashion. If you're unsure of what circular fashion is, it's basically any clothes, shoes, accessories that are designed, sourced, produced, and then sold into the economy with the intention of being used and circulated as responsibly and for as long as possible. And at the end of their full lifespan, they can be returned into the biosphere as safely as possible. So, you know, recycled, or if it's made of cotton, it's a natural fiber, can get put back into the earth. So that's the whole point of circular fashion, and wearing more of your own clothing will assist that process to progress. And then lastly, the last reason, but probably the most important reason, is that a clear space allows for a clear mind, which will reduce your anxiety and in essence, improves your mental health. So think about the simple fact of just knowing where everything is. That will give you less anxiety already. So when you cleanse your closet, everything has its place, everything has its purpose, it feels organized, it's clear, and your mind will feel like that when you look at it. Opening your closet door in the morning and everything's hung neatly and everything has its space, and you know if you need those pair of pants and that top, you know exactly where it is. It brings that sense of calm. And I mean, who doesn't want to start their day like that?
Yeah. I want to start my day like that.
Okay, so I've got into why I think it's very important to do this. Let's get into the how we do this. So the first step, before you start anything, whenever I do a detox with my clients, we go into the space, which if you have a walk-in closet, if you have cupboards, drawers, whatever you have, we open everything and we take a photograph. So this will sort of serve as your before picture. It's kind of a reminder of this is what you never want to go back to. This is your starting point, a bit of a memento, something to remind you of where you don't want to take your closet back to. The next step, get something to drink, get something to eat, a snack. I don't know if it's after 12, a glass of wine. Maybe you want to put on some music, you know, whatever you're comfortable with, because this is quite a daunting task you're about to tackle. So you need to be as comfortable as possible. And then with that, maybe get 1 or 2 empty boxes or some recyclable or biodegradable plastic bags, just for when you're doing the sort of checkout process to keep on hand. Okay, so the next step, empty your entire closet. So some people like to do this in stages. they'll do, you know, cupboard by cupboard, or maybe pants, then tops, then, you know, that sort of thing. I think the best way to do this is to empty your entire closet, chuck everything onto your bed or on the floor. Please make sure the floor is clean, but, you know, take it all out of your cupboards, all of your rails, empty everything. And then use this time as well to do a quick wipe down of all your cupboards or your hanging space. You know, you often don't get into that sort of dust that's in the crevices of the cupboards. Give that a good clean while you're at it.
Yeah, I guess like we forget to clean our wardrobes. I mean, I know I do.
Yeah, completely. I mean, it's not a everyday importance, but when you take everything out, you actually realize, you know, your clothes and your shoes have been gathering so much dust, which is not good for the quality of the clothing either. So give that a wipe, and then take another photograph. Take photograph of your empty spaces, and then take photos of everything that's on your bed, because this will serve as your OMG, I had no idea I have this much stuff. You don't realize how much you collect until you see it all grouped up like that. And my clients are always really shocked when they realize how much they actually own. You know, it's interesting to see it that way. Okay, so then the next step is actually sorting through everything. So when I detox with my clients, we usually pick a product category and then we go through each item separately. So say you start with t-shirts, for instance, you would go through each t-shirt and decide whether you want to keep or toss. So with that, we make 4 different piles. So the first pile will be love. So these are obviously items you love, you're obsessed with, they fit you perfectly, and you wear them. That's important. Sometimes there'll be items that, you know, you've forgotten you had, and, you know, they were kind of squished at the back of your cupboard and you've seen them again and you actually do love them and you want to keep them. But just take a moment to think about why you love them. And if you do decide to keep those items, make a promise to yourself that you will wear them within the next 3 months. If 3 months passes and you haven't worn those items, it's time to move on. You know, there could be another girl that would really love those and will actually make use of them. So pass those items on. The next pile will be a maybe pile. So this is where you're a bit unsure about an item. Maybe it's something you're holding onto because of sentimental value. Maybe you just aren't sure how to style it. That's also often what happens, that you don't know what to pair this top or these pants with, or, you know, whatever it might be. Maybe it's something that is a bit damaged. It has a hole in it, or it needs a button fix. So you're unsure if you want to repair it or get rid of it. So put all those items in the maybe pile, and at the end of the detox session, go back to your maybe pile and then try everything on. Look at it again with an unemotional eye and decide if you really want to keep it or if that item can move on. Then the third pile will be your donate/resell pile. So this is for items that you want to donate or sell. So you need to be brutally honest with yourself. If you haven't worn something in over a year, the chances of you wearing it are very slim that you're actually going to end up wearing that item again. So instead of it gathering dust in your closet, you could be repurposing it to someone that would actually really appreciate that item, or, you know, really wants that. You know, one man's trash is another man's treasure. So instead of just keeping it in your cupboard, you could repurpose that item back into the economy. If you have items that you do want to sell, there are a lot of platforms that you can use, such as Facebook Marketplace or eBay. Depop is new and upcoming in South Africa. So there are a lot of platforms to do that. This is also part of my business model where I sell clothing for my clients. But it's a really good way of also making a little bit of spare cash, of repurposing clothing, and, you know, promoting the secondhand and vintage industry, which in essence will help sustainable fashion. And then the last pile, this is trash. So these are items that are in really poor condition and they just have to be chucked out. If possible, try and recycle as much as you can. You know, if it's wool items or anything that's made from a natural like fiber, like cotton, linen, that sort of thing, you can recycle them. So try and recycle where you can. and to not add to landfills as much as possible. So just to recap, the 4 piles that you want to work with are love, maybe, donate, sell, and trash. So when you're going through your items, I have a little checklist that I use with my clients where I ask them a few questions when they're unsure about something. So a few of the questions I would ask are, does it suit you? So does it, when you actually wear it, does it suit who you are? Does it suit your lifestyle or the lifestyle you want to create in the future? Not who you used to be. It needs to suit you right now. Then does it actually fit you? So, you know, I mean, we all have been guilty of buying something a size too small, a size too big. No, we're going to grow into it or whatever, you know, but if it doesn't fit you comfortably without holding your breath and almost suffocating yourself trying to get into it, then it needs to move on. It's not for you, girl. And then what condition is it in? Is it falling apart? Have you like kept this sweatshirt from 6th grade because you love it so much, but the moths have attacked it? You know, it's got to go. It's got to go. Then you need to think of 3 occasions that you can wear that item in. You need to get wear for value. So can you dress it up? Can you wear it to work? Can you wear it to a social occasion? If you can wear it to at least 3 different events that you can name off the top of your head, it's worth keeping.
Would work be one of those events, for instance?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I think so, especially because most of our life you do spend at work now, but you know, I do think if you're going to wear it once a week to work, that's incredible. Then you're definitely making use of it. And then the last thing is, if you are very sentimental with your items, try and limit yourself to a few that are really, really special. I don't like to tell my clients to just get rid of everything because sometimes, you know, an item does hold more memories, and even though you're not really going to wear it, was very important to you at some part of your life. So try and limit that to a few items. And, you know, don't just keep a dress because you wore it the first time you went to a club in 2004. Like, you know, you gotta be strict with yourself. Okay, so once you've gone through everything, and I mean everything, shoes, jewelry, underwear, everything, then you can place all your items in their designated boxes. So whatever trash items you're getting rid of, put that in a box. Whatever you're donating in a separate box and selling in a separate box, and remove those boxes from your room. Even though right now we can't donate and sell things, when lockdown is over, you will be able to do that. But for now, just get it out of that space. So if you can put it in a spare room or in a storage room or a garage or something like that, wherever you can sort of take them away and have them out of eyesight and try and not revisit them, you know, kind of leave them as they are a part of your past, if that makes sense.
It's like breaking up with someone.
You know, it kind of is. And that can be the most refreshing feeling as well. So, yeah. Okay, so now that you've done that, you can get to organizing your closet. So this will differ for each person and for each closet. If you have a small wardrobe, I like to do seasonal cupboards. So now that we're going into winter, this is the perfect time to pack away all your summer clothes that you've decided to keep. And I find it best to use plastic storage containers to pack away your items. And then it's always important to also separate shoes, accessories, and your clothing so that it doesn't indent anything or nothing gets damaged while it's in the container. And then make sure that you fold everything neatly that you are putting away as well. What's also great about having seasonal wardrobes is if you only have, you know, your designated winter clothing in your cupboard, you can focus on what you're actually going to wear. So you're not just keeping pieces, you know, little crop tops or little sets that you would wear in summer, you know, taking up space in your closet. They're kind of out of the way so that you can see everything clearer for your next few months of wear. Then if you are very lucky and you have a lot of space and you can fit everything in your cupboard effortlessly, then that's amazing. You can separate your closet seasonally within your cupboard. So you can have your winter and summer clothes separately, or if you prefer to just keep all tops together, all shorts, skirts, whatever, that works too. And then depending on your closet setup and what items you have available, organizing may differ, but the great accessories that you can use to make organizing your closet easier. So with my clients, I always love to suggest that they get velvet hangers. So these are my favorite hangers. You get 2 different types for like shirts and blouses and dresses, and then jackets, denim, you know, slightly heavier wear. What's great about them is that they have a non-slip texture, so nothing falls off them. They're really thin and streamlined, so you can fit more in your closet and actually see more that's hanging in your space. And they have these rounded edges, this sort of thing here, which when you put something on it, it doesn't indent it. You know, often when you use plastic hangers and you pull off a dress or a top, it's got these sort of indented points at the shoulder tips, which are always so hard to get out. So those are really great if you're looking to mix up your wardrobe. And then storage boxes. Sorry,
where can you get those hangers from?
So I actually source and supply those hangers myself, but places like Woolworths or Game often have them. I have a bigger supplier that I work with that I can source for people.
Because there's nothing more infuriating when you already don't know what to wear and you open your closet, you're looking for things and everything's just falling.
Oh no, it's the worst, I also love storage boxes. So this is great for any closet. It helps you keep it neat really easily, but particularly with small closets, because it's hard to fit everything when you just have a certain amount of cupboards or drawers or shelves to work with. Whereas sort of these sort of containers, you know, you get so many different ones. These are just some examples of where, you know, you can place like your socks, your underwear, your sleepwear, activewear, that sort of thing. And it makes it easy to keep it in one designated space. And then another storage container that I love, if you getting into this, is for jewelry. So there are awesome jewelry boxes that you can find everywhere now, and just keeps all your jewelry organized. There are these really cool ring holders. Get that open, that come in like a variety of styles and colors. You know, it keeps everything in one space. You never have to look for anything. And then I really love the hanging rails for necklaces, watches, bracelets. Keeps them all neat and they don't get tangled, which is also very annoying. Just want to say, don't worry if you don't have any of these to work with now. These are obviously investment pieces, and it's not a necessity to have in your wardrobe, especially when you're tackling such a big task like you're about to do. This will be the least of your problems. So as long as you've got some hangers and some shelves, you're good to go. All right, so the last step is now repacking your closet. I like to organize my clients' closets by product type and then by color, but this might differ for different people depending on their lifestyle and what would suit them. So the way I do it, depending on your hanging space that you have available, always try and hang your jackets, coats, suits, dresses, jumpsuits, play suits, and then your smarter shirts, blouses, and tops. I personally really like to hang denim and pants, but that's not a necessity. Those are easily flat packed and can be put on your cupboards or shelves. So let's say, for instance, you start with jackets. I have an example over here of how I would do it. So I would first start by grouping product types. So I would do leather jackets, denim jackets, coats, whatever else you have. And within that, I would do it by color. So for instance, with your leather jackets, I'd go from the darkest to lightest, from right to left. And then I would go jackets, pants, tops, dresses. So I would sort of do it in the way that you would get dressed, to streamline your dressing every day. This can obviously differ depending on what suits you better. And then just a tip in that as well, sometimes it's hard to know what color something falls into, especially if it's a print. So for instance, like if you have a floral dress like this, I would look at what this print reads as an overall color, what the base color is. So to me, this would read as black. So I would put that with my black dresses. Whereas this one might be a little bit more tricky. It's very colorful, but I'd still look at what does it dominantly read as. And I would say this dominantly reads as a navy because of the base color. So I would put that with my navy dresses. And then, yeah, I would do this for all categories. So I'd start with my jackets, go into my pants, my tops, dresses, anything like that. And then something else important to hang is if you have any skirts or any other tops that are made of very delicate fabrics like satin or silk, anything that would crease easily, you can hang those as well. It's probably better for their fabric to be hung than to be flat packed. And then I would carry a similar principle out for shelves or drawers. So something that should always be folded is knitwear, for instance. Because of the yarns that are in most knitwear, they're likely to lose their shape if they're hung. So that's very important to remember to always to always fold your knitwear. I would also fold t-shirts, shorts, skirts, sweatshirts, activewear, sleepwear, whatever else you might have that doesn't fall into the hanging categories. This I would fold and put into shelves. So depending on what your layout is of your shelves, say you have vertical shelves, I would start at the bottom with shorts, skirts, t-shirts, sweat tops, knitwear. So you sort of want to order it in the way that you would get dressed to make it easier for yourself. And then within those categories, I would do it by color. And I would start from darkest at the bottom to lightest at the top. So it would go, black, brown, navies, lighter blues, greens, yellows, so on and so forth until white. And that just streamlines the whole process of what it looks like and makes it easier for you to grab things and know where everything is when you are getting dressed. So that's the basis of it. Once you've done that, it's very important that you take an after picture because you should feel proud. I mean, it's no easy feat going through a closet, especially one that maybe hasn't been detoxed in years. So take the pic, feel proud. If you are sharing it on social media, be sure to tag the Curated Fox and Cosmo in your wardrobe detoxes. I want to see them all.
Guys, totally. We totally encourage you, take that before pic, take that after pic. It's really satisfying. So, yeah, and then obviously tag us and tell us about your experience. Rox, thanks so much. What amazing tips. I literally have taken notes. Yeah, some really great tips. What would you say is the best way to store necklaces? I've got a question. To avoid them getting tangled?
So I'd say the best way to store necklaces is to hang them. So there are different ways of hanging them. So these sort of standing rails, this one, for instance, is from Superbalist. This would be the easiest way to do it.
That's so cute, yeah.
Yeah, so there's lots of different varieties of those hanging rails. But often what people do too is you buy those key ring racks that you sort of mount onto a wall. You can nail them in or use press stick or whatever, and you hang one of those key racks and you use those hooks for your necklaces, which can also be really cute if you do that in your cupboard, on the inside of your cupboard. So it kind of tucks them away, but keeps them all hanging and neat, and they won't get tangled.
Yeah. I also have a little snazzy tip. When I, a while back, actually need to start doing it again, I bought a beautiful knives cutlery divider, a wooden one. And I actually use that to separate, because I'm a big jewelry person, I've got a lot of jewelry. So I use that to separate like rings, earrings and
That's
stuff
so
like that.
clever. And that's
Yeah.
also something that I'm sure a lot of people already own in their homes and could use that during this time. You know, it's not something, an extra thing that you have to go out and buy. That's awesome.
For sure. Okay, thank you so much, Rox. Let me see
Okay.
the questions we have, guys. If you haven't asked any questions, now's your time. Oh yes, okay, so the first question we had was how to sort out makeup and jewelry. I think we've answered, you know, of course.
Oh, the makeup.
Section.
I didn't touch on makeup. So makeup, similarly, you can buy a lot of containers and sort of storage things for makeup. So this is just one example of one that I have, which is really cute. You get them from Clicks, from Dischem, Game, and you know it's got place for your lipsticks. You can put your foundations, eyeshadows, and whatever in this compartment. And there's different versions of them. Some that have more lipstick containers, some that are more suited for eyeshadow. You know, it's got different variations. And those can also fit very neatly into your bathroom cupboards, which is great.
Amazing. I think I actually need to get one of those. I don't have one of those. There we go. Let me just quickly look for any more questions.
I've got a question.
Oh, wait, one more question. Oh, okay, Kim is saying, not a question, but thank you for the great tips, feeling inspired to start organizing. That's great. Thanks, Kim.
Yay.
And then Caitlin Yates is asking to see both of our wardrobes for inspo. Okay, so Caitlin, I need a detox mine again. It's been a little while. I did actually a recent one with Rox. That was really, you know, so helpful. So I know how to do them now, kind of, but I took a few extra notes. I'm actually not staying, I'm staying with family, so I'm not with my usual wardrobe. But I can send you a pic after I do my detox.
Yeah, well, with mine, we just moved actually just before the lockdown. So my wardrobe kind of doesn't exist at the moment. Which is fine because, you know, we're not living in normal clothes. But as soon as the lockdown is lifted, I am organizing my closet. I need to get some more storage containers, an extra rail, more hangers. So I'll definitely be sharing that on my social feed ASAP.
Yeah, we've got, Cassandra saying this was so eye-opening. Can't wait to get stuck in my closet. Please share your handles and contact details. Cassandra will definitely share those. And Jamie says, super excited to get this going with the Created Fox earlier. Thank you, guys. Awesome. Does anyone have any more questions? Claire says, you're speaking my language, Roxanne. You know, organization, there's something very like therapeutic about like organizing something and then like having that before and after pic. So I think a lot of people can relate to that. And then Roy saying, love this.
Thanks.
So that's so great. Thank you so much, Roxanne.
Absolutely.
It's been really, really helpful. And yeah, we've loved having you today.
Cool. Thank you. Thanks so much, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Awesome. And those hangers, I'm definitely getting some. So you said you can get them through you?
Yes, so I can source them. You can contact me directly through Instagram or through my email address, which I can drop into the comments over here.
Yeah.
Let me add that. Alternatively, I do know that Woolworths stocks them. I'm not sure if they have colors available, if they just have black or gray, but I think Woolworths and Game stock them as far as I know. I'm just going to add my details.
Perfect. And then Mama says, thanks for the great tips, Rox. Very helpful. Looking forward to starting my detox. Amazing. Okay, guys, so we've got a few minutes left, and I will be taking over to give you some tips on how to stay stylish without, you know, spending money and, you know, with leveraging what you already own after your wardrobe detox. So, you know, the first step is to wardrobe detox with which Rox has taken us through. And I really do feel like happy wardrobe, happy life, or like clear wardrobe, you know, clear, like organized life, clear mind. So that's the first step. But once you've done that, okay, so one of the biggest things for me is accessories. Rox, let me take you off and then you can watch it.
Okay, cool.
Thanks, Rox.
Bye.
Here we go. Hi, guys. So yeah, rummage through your jewelry and your accessories, you know, boxes or containers or whatever you keep them in, because those are great ways to elevate your look. The first thing I would like to talk about is the baseball cap. It's something that you already probably all own, but you may not, you know, have thought that, you know, to wear it. Super trendy. So, you know, pair a baseball cap with any look. I'll give it some street chicness. Jewelry is very important. So my personal fave when it comes to jewelry at the moment is, and I'm not doing it now, but I have been, is layering necklaces. So layer those necklaces, some gold rings, you know. If you have a few holes, I like to play with some earrings, some little, you know, sleepers. So that's key. Raid your jewelry and accessories box. A scrunchie and a headband, and also, you know, like those clips, hair accessories, don't forget about them. They really can change your outfit from like an average outfit to an elevated outfit. So then that's definitely important. And then, okay, the other thing is, you know, like basics are the foundation of your wardrobe. And there are so many ways, because, you know, a basic is called a basic because it's a versatile piece. And your versatile pieces really form your capsule wardrobe, which is like, you know, your white shirt, your plaid blazer, your black tailored trousers. And there's so many ways you can wear, you know, these pieces. I'm not going to go into too many, but I will say that the white shirt is a really, you know, hero wardrobe item piece. So for instance, a white shirt can be worn with cycling shorts, you know, those like sporty tube socks and sneakers, or it can be, you know, elevated with a, you know, like those bandeau tops that everyone owns, or, you know, a bralette. Throw that over your shirt for a new, you know, creative way to dress. And then maybe you have a chain belt, or, you know, a beautiful belt with like detail on it. Throw that over your shirt. So shirt's like a really nice, like, blank canvas that you can really manipulate in or style in a variety of ways. And then on that note, layering is extremely important. So, you know, a few examples to layer what you own already is like slinging a sweater over a sweater. So wear a sweater and then just sling, you know, the sweater over your shoulders. I've seen that quite a lot on Instagram at the moment. Then cardigans are back. You know, some may say they're classics, but now they really are coming back. A lot of like the fashion girls I've been following have, you know, invested in a cardigan, or borrow one from your grandpa or your boyfriend, or, you know, for that oversized vibe. Belt a cardigan, you know, wear a cardigan over like a long dress, belted. One of my favorite things is wearing a hoodie under a blazer. It kind of like balances that like casual but elevated look. So hoodie with a cool blazer. Like sweats, even like mix like more casual items with more with smarter items. So sweats and like a smarter like top, like even a blazer or a shirt, can really give like a nice like high-low spin. Then I'm sure you've seen this going around, but tonal dressing. Tonal dressing is like a very like awesome trend, I find, and it just kind of involves finding a bunch of items in your wardrobe that live in the same color palette, but in different textures, and wearing them head to toe. So even if it's like denim, or maybe you're wearing caramels and all neutrals like taupe, caramel, stone, it just really like adds like very impactful vibe. So that's another way. It's actually called color drenching in the interior / decor land, because it's also a trend with decor. And then search your wardrobe for things that are already trending. So, you know, like trends come, you know, they come and go and they come and go. For instance, like polka dots that was trending a few years ago is now majorly trending again. And I'm pretty sure you have at least one polka dot item in your wardrobe that you may have discarded. So puff sleeves, florals, pinstripes, all of those things, you know, like do some research, see what the trends are out there, and then also, you know, re-fall in love with pieces that, you know, you might have worn to death a few years ago, but have maybe forgotten about now. Leather is also a really big one. Also very versatile fabric. And then, you know, like when I work to create like a fashion editorial or, you know, anything I do, I collect references, I make a mood board. And I think this is very important when you are, you know, dressing. Like dressing, you know, takes work also. So put the work into it. Maybe it's saving pics on IG and creating a folder, or even on Pinterest, you know, create a board of looks that you want to try out. And then in the morning, when you don't know what to wear, or when you're going to an event, open that folder and have a look. And, you know, then you can be like, okay, cool, the shirt looks really nice with the cycling shorts. Let me try that out. Yeah, something else to do is save the outfits that you've already worn and that you've, you know, take a photo of yourself in them. Or outfits that you may not have worn out, but you know, you've had like one of those try-ons at home when you try on a few outfits, and put those all into a folder, as you know, so that you can try them again. So it's all about getting organized, really. Another one is to raid your sister, your friends, again, your boyfriend's wardrobes. I did an article a while ago about raiding my boyfriend's wardrobe and then wearing his clothing for a week. And I actually found some really cool pieces. Sounds a bit ridiculous, but you know, oversized is really in now. So sometimes borrow from the boys. Also gender neutral, shop from the boys section when you shop. Like just change your mindset in terms of like gender and what you are allowed to wear. But yeah, some really great relaxed silhouettes come from the boys' wardrobes. Then clothing swaps, not very possible at the moment, but that is something that you know, is becoming more and more popular. We've seen like the rise of clothing swap parties, and we actually wrote an article about it on Cosmopolitan.SA, so check it out. But it just entails, you know, inviting a bunch of friends to your house. They each bring a few items. You have some bubbly and swap clothing, so that you're not buying new and you're really making use of, you know, clothing that's out there, but also you're getting a taste of something, you know, new clothing. So it's like you've gone shopping, but without like terrible consumption. And then another thing is your steamer and your iron are your besties. And it's so funny because I'm sure a lot of us can relate to buying something and kind of avoiding wearing it because it's creased, and it's just like, it's one of those like very you know, like nicky fabrics that just crease really easily, and you kind of like don't avoid it because you may be lazy, you don't want to steam and iron it. So steam and iron your clothing. It's also a tip to making your clothing look more expensive, is just to have it really neatly like steamed and creased. It just makes your clothing look more polished. I say steamer and iron because sometimes you just can't steam a garment like an iron can take out its creases. So that's like for your you know, your pure linens, impossible to steam and get everything out. And then another thing is, if you do have a bit of budget lying around for your clothing, or you know, you have, you know, a little bit of money, I would say invest in a local, from local brands who need the support, as we spoke about, or secondhand, good quality secondhand pieces. So like vintage stores, or, you know, just secondhand items that you found online. So that's also a great way, you know, to shop a little bit more sustainably. Yeah, so those are my tips. I hope that this webinar was really insightful for everyone, and it will be online if you want to, you know, tell someone to watch it or to listen to it. Thank you, Jade. Jade said great tips. I'm reading the comments here. Amazing, guys. Okay, Pep also stocks those velvet hangers that we all want. Brilliant. Awesome, guys. Does anyone have questions? Okay, here. Jade is saying, please can you share some of your favorite local brands and vintage stores to shop at? Great question, Jade. So I live in Cape Town, so my favorite secondhand stores are definitely Glitterati. It's a vintage store on Long Street, and then there's also Afraid of Mice, which are probably my two favorite stores to thrift. But even when I go overseas, I really like visiting at least one vintage store. I was in Milan recently, and I got a beautiful vintage belt, leather, like stunning belt from a vintage store there. And then favorite local brands. Well, I've got a lot of favorite local brands. I'm trying to think of at the moment. Oh, I've got my eyes on this amazing dress from Sweet Pea Handmade. They're a Durban-based brand, if I'm not mistaken. But I love EXO, the brand. They also stock beautiful pieces that are locally produced. Lots of jewelry brands, out there that I really love. Famke, Diarray, Lawn for Lawn. They do insane earrings. Also beauty brand that I really love and that I've started using recently is Skoon. So even for beauty, there's so many amazing local brands out there. I'm trying to think if there are any like that I've recently purchased from. No, I think those are like my favorite at the moment. I'll probably think of 20 more as I end this call. But yeah, does anyone have other questions? Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining us. And yeah, it's a really exciting day for the Cosmo team also. We have launched our Cosmo May issue digitally. So we are encouraging everyone to stay at home and grab their digital issue. We've got a really cool cover star who is none other than Zazie Tunzi, Miss Universe. I shot her in Joburg, I think 3 months ago now, which feels like a lifetime ago. Yeah, so we shot her in Joburg, and it's a really powerful cover of her. Great article inside also about, taking up space and, leading the next generation of, go-getters. So yeah, that issue is available online. So go on Cosmo's page. And I actually, you know what, I'm going to put the link to the new issue in this chat. James, if you could pop it into the chat, that would be amazing. Yeah, guys, and we are going to pop the link here so that you can get your hands on the new issue. There's also a really amazing fashion spread that I'm very proud of. We shot 3 of the most famous models at the moment in South Africa who are making headlines overseas. They've all walked insane shows. One of them or 2 of them have shown private shows for Anna Wintour. There's some really insane models. So we shot them for our May fashion and beauty editorial in Made in Africa product. So here's another thing. All the product in the May issue of Cosmo has been made locally, which is really incredible, and it's a first for us. I think a first for most out of any publications. So yeah, if you can see here, I'm sending the link. Oh, sorry, no, I need to send it to everyone. Guys, so here's the link to get your hands on our May issue. And yeah, it's a great way to stay indoors with your new mag, and it's only 34.90 rand, which is a lot less than most of the magazines at the moment. So get your hands on that. And yeah, everything in the magazine has been made in Africa. Super cool. There's a lot of content in there. But yeah, thank you everyone for joining our style seminar, and I hope it's been, as I said, very insightful. And enjoy the rest of your days. Mwah.